Welcome to the Gary Goff Show, our recap of the 2015 fall campaign. I'm Russ Snyder alongside head coach Gary Goff. And, Coach, we've been doing it every week. This week, nothing to talk about this coming Saturday.
Well, maybe not. We're on the road recruiting already, so we're very busy. So we can't share all that with you right now.
Yes,
but
no game to prepare for, but next season and the seasons beyond to prepare for you right now. But let's take a look back last week. Fall to a very good Ohio Dominican team. They had some injuries, going into that game, but they have a lot of depth. They still have a lot of good football players on the field.
They do, and they're in a hotbed recruiting. Really, they very well live off the recruits right there in the Columbus area.
Absolutely.
And they got a nice little deal going right there with their football program. They do. They're very, very deep. They had 2 preseason All-Americans that were injured and didn't play, but they had some guys that plugged in pretty much all season. They're very, very good football players, and they're a big football team. They were big.
Absolutely. Well, we played them toe-to-toe for the first half. Ohio Dominican, came out in the second half and took control of the ball game. The Dragons ended up falling on the final game of the regular season. But let's take a look back at the entire season. Dragons finished 5-6, 4-6 in conference, finished 4th in the GLIAC South, tied for 8th overall in the conference, and some big wins in the season, including a road win in the conference at Malone this year.
Yeah, it was a great season. We didn't end it the way we wanted to, obviously, and we joke about that stuff all the time. I think coaches are never happy. We think we should have won 1, 2, or 3 more, right?
Yeah.
But there was still some improvements. Our total offense production moved way up in the country. Our defense production moved way up in the country. And if you compare the last 2 seasons, a year ago, the games we won, we barely won those games. And then the games we lost, we lost those games, very handily to our opponent. And this past season, the games we won big. And the games that we lost, we just missed on those. You're talking 5 points, and we had 2 more wins.
Well, Findlay by 4, Michigan Tech by 1. You can throw Grand Valley in there. That was only a touchdown.
Yeah, it's a 7-point game there, too. But, in this conference, you're always going to play 3 or 4 nationally ranked opponents, which makes it a challenge. But I felt like our players were up to the challenge. They battled all year. They didn't, turn down at any point in the season. But we had some heartbreaking losses. But the encouraging point is we can move on to this offseason knowing we can win those games. We can play with those guys, as to where in years past, I don't know if our guys really knew that they can go out there and play toe-to-toe with Grand Valley or with ODU or whatnot. So, so that part's encouraging, and it's part of the process. It's we got to continue to learn what it takes to win football games on a consistent basis, and what it takes to win against top-ranked teams.
Well, you made a believer out of us in the broadcast booth. I'm sure the kids are believing it more and more than they did when you first got here. The coaching staff, the fans. This is a different vibe about Tiffin University football around campus, around town, than there was right before you got here into town. But you talked about, the schedule you're playing, these high-ranked teams. We've got 3 teams from our conference playing in postseason ball. 2 of them matched up, and could have a round 2 GLIAC matchup as well. Ferris State, if they win, they'll take on the winner of the Ashland Grand Valley game. So, great. It just speaks to the volume of our conference, top to bottom. You also talked about offensively and defensively around the country. Let's talk about some of the numbers you guys put up this year. Total of 6 offensive records broken. Passing yards in a season, 3,233. 33 touchdown passes to only 6 interceptions thrown as a team. That's a record as well. Total offense put up over 700 yards at Findlay. Total yardage in a season went over the 5,000-yard mark and made 16 field goals this year. That's just a small sample of some of the numbers you guys put up this year.
Yeah, again, I thought we made, dramatically improvements to both sides of the ball, and in order to win in this conference, you're going to have to continue to improve, and there's still a lot of areas we must improve in. But very happy with the production. It can be improved, and with a senior heavy team we're going to have next year, I expect all those numbers to go even better for us in our favor and whatnot. And our defense has done a great job as well, and we got to replace a few of the seniors, and we're on the road recruiting right now, trying to find those guys and some difference makers, and we just need a few more pieces to the puzzle, and I think that we'll have a fairy tale type season around here.
We'll talk about some of those seniors here before we close up the program. We'll talk about some other stats to talk about. Much more balanced team this year. You had about 4 games with a 100-yard rusher. You also had 6 different games with a 300-yard passing game, and 4 different receivers had over 100-yard receiving games. Early in the season, Pedro Correa was getting all the numbers, and then towards the second half of the season, it was Charles Holland. But then it makes you remember, oh yeah, Tony Shedd, he had quite a year too.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about the air raid is we like to spread our our opponents out and take advantage of what they give us. And if they want to double team Charles, there should be another receiver open somewhere else. And then if they want to move everybody out of the box to defend the pass, then we're looking for Jerry Brown or Pip. And I thought offensively we did a very good job of that for the most part of the season. And we're kind of a handful to defend in a lot of ways, and it's because we got weapons at every position. So we got to continue that, and we got to even sharpen up on a few things. We've thrown for a lot more than 3,000 yards in previous offenses at other schools, but as far as rushing the ball, I thought we did a really good job within the air raid of running the football this year, and
I agree.
that was the difference.
I agree totally. Offensive back of the year in the conference, our quarterback, junior Antonio Pipkin, this year sets career passing marks for attempts in a career, completions, yards, touchdowns, career plays, total offensive career, just under 10,000 yards so far in his career, and he's got a whole another year.
Yeah, when you look at his career stats, they're kind of mind-blowing, to be honest with you. I learned that at some point next season, after about 2,000 yards, somewhere give or take, that he'll move into the top 25 in NCAA history for total offense, and that's saying a lot. But I think anytime you've got a four-year starter like he's going to be, you've got a chance to break a lot of records, and for him to be able to break a lot of GLIAC records next year at some point of the season, says a lot about the young man. He's an explosive player, and he's definitely a threat, but he's got some improvements too, without a doubt. And so he's a hard worker, and he's going to continue to work hard and improve on, some of his playmaking decisions or protecting the football, which I thought he did really good with this year with only the 6 picks. But there's always areas you can improve in, and I think as he continues to improve, nice thing about Pipkin is the players around him continue to improve and work hard, and I thought we saw a lot of that happen this year.
You mentioned the players around him. That's right where I was going next. You can have all the talent in the world at the quarterback position, but if nobody's blocking for you and have anybody to hand the ball off to or nobody to catch the ball, it doesn't really matter. Let's talk about the young man. We call him the mayor. Been around here forever. Most people, everybody loves this kid.
Sure.
He's nice as a football player, nice as a student, nice as a young man. Pedro Correa, 5th all-time in catches at Tiffin University, also 5th all-time in yards and 5th all-time in touchdowns. 125 catches, over 1,600 yards, and 15 career touchdowns for that young man.
Yeah, we'll miss Pedro without a doubt. Great young man, but he stopped by the office just yesterday and said bye. He's traveling back home or whatnot, and he said, Coach, 5 years flies by, doesn't it? I said, absolutely. I said, Pedro, I remember when you showed up as a freshman with a bad attitude, a snarl on your face about, the world is out to get you and all this stuff. And I said, you know what? You stuck it out. You grew up in front of our eyes, became a leader of the team. And he's going to be somebody that we're going to reach out to a lot to talk to some of our younger players or whatnot. And just a great, great person who is really an overachiever, to be honest. And that's what you like to see.
Yeah, I'm going to miss the kid. Just from talking to him on campus or watching him play football, I was just going to miss the kid just because he's a good all-around kid. Tomislav Derezik, your kicker, senior kicker this year. Career records, field goals made in a career, extra points made in a career, and total points. He is second, and 5th in those categories. 16 field goals made this year, 44 extra points, and almost got to the 100-point plateau. He's a darn good kicker.
He is. The young man's going to have an opportunity to play at the next level, I believe. And, we've always known that he's had a big, strong leg. We liked that when we recruited him out of Mentor there at high school. And, he I don't know how many touchbacks he's had this year, but he had quite a few, and that makes
well, I know his touchback percentage was up in the high 80s, I believe.
Well, that makes our defensive life a little bit easier right there. But, we're going to miss him too, but we got a group of great young kickers that are ready to step into that role. And Tomislav, another young man, has been with us for 4 years, and hard worker, great student, great family, and I look forward to seeing how far he can play.
Now that we're talking about punting the football, kicking the football, excuse me, let's talk about your punter last week at Ohio Dominican, Josh Breban. What a game that young man had.
Well, and he's got a really strong leg, and he's a freshman for us, and he's going to be up for that position to step in and replace Tomislav right there. But
he looked
he's got a
good
strong
punting
leg.
the ball last Saturday, that's for darn sure. Okay.
We don't like talking about punting the ball.
No, well, every once in a while you have to. Every once in a while you got to play a little field position. We can talk about it because we don't have a game to worry about this
There
week.
you go. All
right, let's talk about some of the kids you got coming back on the offensive side before we touch on some of the defenders. Jerry Brown had 8th all-time in career yards at Tiffin University. It was over 1,300 yards. He 6th all-time in career carries. Only needs 31 more to get into the 4th position. He's going to be somebody I'm sure you're going to rely on heavily next year.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he's become a leader for us as well. And, we really missed him the last game of the season against ODU. Jerry Brown played the the entire game at Grand Valley with a shattered finger. He did that at the last drive at Michigan Tech the week before. So we knew he was going to have surgery and miss the ODU game, which hurt us a lot. But solid young man, a great football player, and might be the toughest guy on this campus. To play 4 quarters with a shattered finger. They took a bone graft out of his wrist to fix the bone in his finger. So we're excited about having him, and having 2 seniors in the backfield with Pipkin and him, is a pretty good sign right there.
Well, there's going to have some receiving core coming back. Tony Shedd had a great year, as we spoke about, but there's also you got Jalen Santoro, Austin Rankin, Mr. Holland, Charles Holland. So you have a lot of depth coming back at that wide receiver position.
Yeah, we do. And we've got some guys we registered this year that we're excited to see go through spring and compete for some of those receiver positions, because we travel about 8 or 9 and use a lot of them. But, we are blessed because we got some really good players right there at the receiver position.
All right, let's flip side to the other side of the ball defensively. Let's talk about some of the kids you'll be losing and some of the kids that you got coming back.
Well, Tommy Pritchard has been a solid defensive end for us for the last 2 years, so we'll miss him. He's also a leader of that side. And then at the linebacker position, we're going to take some hits right there with Jesse Stout leaving and Justin Hernstein leaving as well. Both of them graduating, and both of them, did a fantastic job for us. But, we've got to find 2 guys that can step into those 2 positions right there and be ready to play, because at the linebacker position in this conference, you better be a grown man.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to see some big dudes running at you for 4 quarters.
Jalen Randolph's a guy on the defensive line this year that maybe might have been the unsung hero of your defense this year. Yeah,
excited to have him come back. He's another one of my favorite players because he's an overachiever. You look at him, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but he does probably have the biggest heart, and he might have the best hands in the conference as far as getting linemen off of you. So we're excited about him. He's only going to get better and better. But our defensive line, we're pretty deep right there, so we're excited about that position.
Recruiting trail now. I know you can't get into specifics of it, but how long does it take you from the get off the bus last Saturday? I'm sure your recruiting brain is working on the bus, but how soon can you actually get at it? Talk a little bit about how the regulations work as far as your recruiting is concerned.
Well, the very next morning I had 2 coaches flying out to California.
There you go.
So it didn't take us long at all. But recruiting is something that you kind of handle all year, but we're allowed to talk to mid-year transfers, junior college, players right now, and that's what we're doing out there, is trying to find some guys. And then we're on the road right now, basically talking to high school coaches, getting transcripts, getting film, and then we're not allowed to talk to the high school players until in December. So when December comes back around, we're back on the road again, and we'll be out there sitting with families and sitting with recruits and their coaches, and really, I wouldn't say the recruiting process starts then, but that's when we really start digging into it and kind of saying, all right, these are the guys we exactly want right now, and these guys right here we think can play another position or whatnot. So I don't know if recruiting ever stops. It's year-round, but this is the fun part of recruiting, because we get to get on the road and meet a lot of families and a lot of players right now.
And hope some of those players are playing deep into the high school playoffs, where you can go watch them play in a big-time atmosphere and see how they react in that atmosphere too.
Exactly right.
When you look at the kids this year that you got coming back, you look at your team as a whole, you think about where you were this year, where you need to be next year. In just a few words, talk about what you think the team needs to work on, whether it's, we'll talk about the physical aspect, the mental aspect, or just a little bit of what you think are the keys to this team coming back and being a strong contender next year.
Well, I think it goes back to the same values we've had for the last several years. And, it's tough attitude and discipline. Being tough is not just on the football field. Being tough is doing what you're expected to do and when you're expected to do it, and making sure your teammates can count on you. And attitude is being able to accept accountability and have that work mentality of, I'm going to go to work and work hard and have a lot of fun with it. And then discipline again is taking care of your grades, being on time, just doing things the right way. These young men know the difference between right and wrong. They need to make good decisions, and decisions based on don't hurt the team. So we're going to continue to go down those or that road with those values right there. But we're excited about the future here. We really are. We're excited about the recruits we have coming in. We're excited about the team that we have put together right now. If they continue to work extremely hard, the sky's the limit for them. It really is. And, we learned some valuable, tough lessons this year. And that's why the game of football is got to be one of the best sports in the world, because there's a lot of life lessons within the game.
For sure.
And, I know that our record was the same, but, still one of the best records we've had since we've been in this conference right there. We got a lot to be thankful for and a lot to build off of. So as long as these guys stay together and continue to work hard, forward, I'm very excited about the direction of the program and where we're going to be next year.
I am as well, and I know everybody around our conference, around our region, around our country is taking notice of Tiffin football nowadays as well. So, Coach, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure getting to sit in the press box and cover each and every game on Saturdays with my broadcast partner, Matt Kilburn, getting a chance to talk to you during the week as well. You got some great group of kids out there, man, not only on the football field, but as you said, in the classroom and in the community as well. That's a big part of it in a town like Tiffin. Make sure that you're a good person in the community too.
Well, I appreciate everything you guys have done. This job's impossible without, the staff, the administration helping us, and without our players' families. So it really is a big family atmosphere here, and we need that in order to get to where we want to be. So thank you guys as well.
I love doing it, Coach. More information on Tiffin University football, go to GoTiffinDragons.com. Click on that football link. You get information on Coach Goff, his players, next year's schedule, and anything and everything you need to know about Tiffin University football. Till next fall, I'm Russ Snyder. This is Coach Goff. This has been the Gary Goff Show on the Tiffin University Network.